Hi, everybody. Welcome to today's episode of Shape Unplugged. I am your host, Stephanie Morris, CEO of Shape America, and today I am joined by three incredible guests. I am really excited about the conversation that we are going to have today. They are the authors of Infusing Self-Advocacy into Physical Education and Health Education, recently published by Shape America, just put out this past fall, brand new title for us. And we're already receiving so much positive feedback and excitement around this book. So welcome to Dr. Lauren Lieberman, Distinguished Service Professor at SUNY Brockport, Ruth Childs, Associate Professor in the Department of Theater and Music Studies at SUNY Brockport, and Mary Connolly, Program Chair of Skills-Based Health, Social Emotional Learning at Cambridge College. Lauren, Ruth, and Mary, thank you so much for being here today. I am so excited to have you as guests on Shape Unplugged and to talk about this project. Can you share a little bit with our listeners about who you are, where you live, and your current role as a professional in our HPE community? And maybe for this one, we will kick things off with Mary.
Hi, everyone. This is a great opportunity to show our collegiality and support for Shape America and the wonderful work that Shape does. I am Mary Connolly, Program Chair, Skills-Based Health, Social Emotional Learning. I am a teacher of students who are learning to be health educators. I'm also a health education consultant and working on several SHAPE committees. I'm a member of the Health Education Council and a member of the committee that's revising the National Health Education Standards, and have done podcasts and Twitter chats and all sorts of work in assessment and SEL with SHAPE. So I'm very pleased to be a part of this. It was a great experience and pleased to be here.
Thanks, Mary. And Lauren, let's turn to you.
Sure. And I'm a lifetime member of Shape America. I have a life membership. I was chair of the Adapted Physical Activity Council before. I've been on the convention planning committee for about 6 years, and just really excited to dive in and work with these two and work with Shape America and Tom Lawson, and really looking forward to the journey that this has taken us on.
Thanks, Lauren. And Ruth.
Hi, my name's Ruth Childs. I'm a professor in the theatre department at SUNY Brockport. So I'm obviously brand new to SHAPE, but very excited to be part of the family. And I've just loved collaborating with Lauren and Mary on this really important book. And I think the interdisciplinary nature of the book is what makes it so special and also very powerful. So I'm really happy to be here.
Thank you, Ruth. And again, thanks to the three of you for being guests on the show today. So the book that the three of you recently authored, Infusing Self-Advocacy into Physical Education and Health Education, such an important title for our community right now. Can you share a little bit with our listeners about what inspired this project, why you came together to work on this important book? And for this, Lauren, why don't we hear your thoughts first?
Sure. Yeah, this is interesting because I run a sports camp in the summer for kids with visual impairments. And Ruth and I, we'd run together, we'd walk together, and we would just talk about, our jobs and what we do. And she started coming to our camp and started a program for kids with visual impairments, a self-advocacy program. And we just saw the power of kids using their voice and finding their voice and saying what they need and they want. They generalized it to school, to their sports teams. And I started realizing, and we soon realized, that it's not something that is often taught, but we saw the power of kids finding their voice and how it can change not just their life in sports, but other aspects of their lives. And so we just kept expanding and expanding our program. And with Ruth's expertise, we really found we had a niche and learned that it's not just kids with disabilities, it's all kids that need this. And there is nothing out there. I mean, if you do research in this area, there is very little out there. And the little that is out there is just for kids with disabilities. But we think it's important that all kids find their voice. And what better way to find it than typical activities in health and physical education?
Thank you, Lauren. So many good thoughts there. And Ruth, do you have anything you want to share?
Yeah, I think, one one thing that's important is, this program was really born out of our friendship, but also, it's rooted in the theater techniques and the theater skills that I was teaching in my acting classes, in my public speaking classes, in my improv classes. And this whole idea of trying to persuade someone who doesn't necessarily want to change their mind on a topic, and how do you go about persuading them to change their mind, and having a real strategy going into it. I think that's what makes this unique, but it also makes it very approachable, because there's a technique behind it. And we gave these children a very clear method to working on their self-advocacy skills. So there's real thought behind it and a real process. And Lauren and I originally called the program the Sport of Self-Advocacy, because we wanted to have the children at the sports camp thinking, this is just another sport I'm learning. And this particular sport is, I'm going to learn how to advocate for myself. So I think that's a really important and unique aspect to the work we've done. And obviously Mary's expertise just helped bring it to another level, and also include this whole other area of education, which has just been amazing.
That is so wonderful. What a great story, and what a unique opportunity that came together around all of this. So when the three of you think about teaching self-advocacy skills to children of all ages, as you've just been talking about, what are the most important things that you want teachers to know and really be prepared for? And for this one, Mary, let's start with you.
Okay, I think, after writing and editing and rewriting, I think that really what has struck me is that self-advocacy is not an add-on. It's not something else that a teacher has to do. If a teacher is teaching skills-based self-education, advocacy is standard 8. So, and standard 4 is interpersonal communication. So using those two skills and just putting more emphasis on advocating for self, in addition to advocating for others or advocating for things, it's already there. And what also makes it perfect for skills-based health ed is that there are specific skills, steps of the skill, as Ruth mentioned. That is perfect for the skills-based health educator. Why is it self-advocacy important? What are the steps? Modeling the steps, giving the children time to practice, and then formatively assessing. Those are the steps of the skill. And we incorporated those general steps into the specific skills and steps of self-advocacy. So it's something that we're already doing. It's not extra work. It's just sort of saying, I'm going to have self-advocacy included with advocacy for others or for things. And it's very much aligned also with the CASEL competencies, in particular relationship skills, because that is where communication is housed in that. So it sort of just fits in nicely with what we're already doing, and is explicit and so helpful to empower students. As Ruth and as Lauren has said, it was sort of like an eye-opener. This is something we're already doing, and how important is it?
I love that. And Lauren, do you want to share any thoughts?
Yeah, one of the things that I think is really unique about this book too is that the definition of self-advocacy already had 4 components. And so we're sharing those 4 components that a lot of people don't know about. I didn't know about it before. But what's really awesome is that Ruth created 5 steps to self-advocacy, and we apply that throughout. And that, like Mary was saying, applies directly to a lot of the Shape America competencies, but it also gives kids a structure when they realize there's something that they really want. How do I follow that structure? And they go to through those steps. And the other thing, we give them permission to say, wait, I didn't really get what I wanted. I need to go back to, maybe I picked the wrong person, or maybe I communicated ineffectively. I have to try again, giving them permission to do that with those 5 steps. So we gave a structure to self-advocacy that wasn't there before.
So many good thoughts. Thank you so much to both of you for sharing all of that. I can only imagine what our listeners are thinking right now, but I'm personally really excited for this book and for the impact that I know that it will be making. And so again, speaking of the book, it includes many real world scenarios, lessons, and equity and inclusion sections. Really exciting when you think about the opportunity to impact our teachers and equip them to do this work. Can you speak a little bit about the kinds of professional experiences or even personal ones that each of you drew from to write this book? And for this one, Ruth, why don't we start with you?
Yeah, thank you. So first of all, I'd just like to give a little shout out to our amazing collaborators on the book, because I know that they all drew from their own professional and personal experiences for their individual chapters and the lessons that we have included in the book. And we learned so much from working with them. So we're really, really thankful that they shared their expertise with us. And I would just say, Lauren, Mary, and I just talked so much about our experiences in the classroom, mentoring young teachers. In my case, raising my own children and thinking about times that they either needed to advocate or failed to advocate and the repercussions. So I think we really drew from our depth of experience, as did our collaborators. And I think, again, as we've discussed in the earlier answers, once you have a system, learning how easy it is to infuse self-advocacy into many different classroom activities, many different recreation programs, after school sports, physical education class. It's just about sort of learning the technique. And once you have that, it really is extremely adaptable and very simple to include.
So interesting. And yes, as you were speaking, I was thinking about my own experience as a parent, and so true, right? That we really do draw from these different memories and moments and experiences from all of these different places. Lauren, welcome. Any thoughts that you also have?
Yeah, actually, I just want to brag for a minute, because oftentimes when it was during COVID, I would go to Ruth and we would like hide away in a room, but the kids would come in and out, and Henry would listen to us. And we actually would ask the kids about some of their experiences at school with SEL, because we tied in social emotional learning throughout the book. So then Henry, I think he thought a lot about self-advocacy. And when what grade was he in? So maybe Ruth, tell the story about Henry and the baseball, trying out for varsity baseball, even though he was too young.
Yeah, he was in 8th grade, but they wanted him to try out for varsity baseball. And in New York State, in order to play varsity sports, if you're not in high school, you have to do this pretty extreme physical test. And he just figured out, he was like, I'm going to go to the AD and I'm going to ask to do it. And he made a date to do it. And then he practiced all of these intense exercises, and he did it. And really, he had to advocate for himself to be able to take that test. And then it was not a clear-cut path that he would succeed, but he did. And then he got to play varsity baseball as an 8th grader, and started every game. I'm going to brag about my little one. But just seeing it, we really, I think, used our surroundings as inspiration for the book, and used what my kids were going through during COVID, especially, to try to get what they needed in order to manage. So came from the real world.
But all of our scenarios are true stories that we've taken from our experiences, and some of them actually happened organically through the process of talking about self-advocacy, talking to our students, our kids about self-advocacy, and seeing the power of self-advocacy, and just like being able to talk about it. And I just think it's great, because it's such a positive thing in such a hard time, that I think it really kept us all going in some of the ups and downs during COVID.
Yeah, and one last thought. Sorry, Mary. I was just going to say, because of COVID, the amount of attention that was put on SEL for my children's education, at least, was quite impressive and a new thing. So we felt like our book was really riding this new wave coming into education, a really important wave, and just really thinking about kids emotional well-being throughout the school day, not just as this little sort of add-on maybe once a week. So
yeah, I think one of the strengths of our book is the collaboration. This is a book that's represented by experts in the field of health and physical education, not only in the United States, but also in Europe. We have a collaborator from Europe, and each chapter begins with a scenario, and that scenario is being drawn from the experiences of these experts in the field. So it's a real strength, I think, to have brought all of these people together and have them write these scenarios, which are reflective of their work in their lives. And that was really amazing. And when we hit a snag, Lauren just called them up on the phone and said, hey, can you answer this question? And voila, it was solved. It was incredible. So I think that the knitting of the collaboration of these professionals, all of us, makes the book very extraordinary.
And can I brag on that?
Of
Because
course.
I just want to say, I just think I love the saying, like, nothing about us without us. Now, even though the book is written for all kids, we do have one chapter about applying it for kids with disabilities. And one of my friends who's a professor and also has a disability, Dr. Kathy McDonald from SUNY Cortland, co-authored that chapter because I think it's important to have the voice of someone with a disability writing that chapter. And then also the social justice, like advocacy for social justice. I mean, using your voice for good, using your voice to make a difference. That is the power of this book. And Dr. Christy Roth is just an amazing advocate, and she's really an expert in social justice. So she was a co-author of that chapter. And I just think that, like Mary said, like having these really high-end collaborators was so helpful. And I just thankfully, like Shape America helped us find some of these authors I didn't know. And we've made some really good new friends along the way. And I just think that this is just the start of a beautiful path to really make a difference, not just in our field, but of the ripple effect in other fields, hopefully. Because one other thing I want to share is, this, like I said, the ripple, that the tide that we're on. Ruth and I are currently creating a self-advocacy questionnaire for all kids. And it's going to be related to sport and physical education and physical activity, but it's not for kids with disabilities. It's about self-advocacy, and it's going to be sensitive enough that you could actually do a pre and a post using this questionnaire, and it's applied. It's using the 4 components of self-advocacy as the pillars of the self-advocacy questionnaire.
That's amazing. And I just really love that you have this new community, and that you have, as you've said, been able to connect with so many new authors and experts to continue this work in whatever that will look like. That's wonderful. And thank you so much to the 3 of you for sharing all of this. We've talked so much about the potential impact that this book will make. And I am so excited for that and so confident in that and all that's ahead. What do you personally hope that this book will ultimately achieve in our health and physical education programs in the years ahead? What are your biggest hopes for this and vision? So for this one, Mary, why don't we start with you?
Sure. My hope is that after reading the book, and especially looking at the practical applications, the lesson plans that we have included in health education, K-12, physical education, K-12, and community, that people will see how easy it is to do this, that it's not some strange thing, new thing that I have to learn how to do, that it's pretty easy just to change that focus a little bit and turn it into self-advocacy, especially where all the steps are there. We're used to role playing, we're used to having student-centered activity, that it's not hard to do at all, and it will really benefit kids.
Thanks, Mary. And why don't we go to Lauren next?
I love the idea that it gives kids permission to also say, hey, this isn't working for me. It gives them a platform and the ability to be more included, to say what's uncomfortable or what's not working, but not just for themselves, for others. And before this, I don't think that there was any way that kids really felt like they could speak up. I mean, one of the games in this, because the I don't know if we mentioned this, the second part of the book is all just application activities that you can do. And these were all contributed by teachers, doctoral students, and people in the community. One of the games is actually a game where actually you take a time out and you say, does anybody see anyone that's not being included or that's not engaging in this lesson or this game? And what can we do about it? So it gives the kids permission to speak up. And I just feel like it's a much better atmosphere when it can be a give and take, and it's not so, I don't want to say top down, because I don't think all teachers want that. But I think more teachers would want, if kids are uncomfortable or if kids feel marginalized or not included, maybe they don't recognize that, or maybe they didn't realize that was happening. But then a child says it and say, oh, okay, well, why don't you move over to this group? Or why don't we get this equipment out? Or whatever they need to do to make them feel included. And it's just the start of that conversation. And without this book, I don't think that people would have had that platform or that exposure.
I love that. And Ruth, any thoughts?
Yeah, I think I would just add, the book is really about learning how to communicate and persist in communication. And really, we want all of the kids to be able to stand up and speak up for what they need and be able to keep working on it. So I think, just giving teachers and coaches and parents and the children these strategies that are very simple to learn, simple to apply to different scenarios, I think just gets everyone communicating more, communicating better, and being able to participate in what they want to participate, then I'll be thrilled.
Thank you, Ruth. You just reminded me of one other thing, that each activity, of course, the book is tied directly to the health standard, the Shape America health standards and the physical education standards. But also for each activity, there's a resource. It could be a website, it can be a book, it could be a video. And we found really cool resources at the end of each game, at least one that teachers can use to emphasize or to support that game or activity, which I don't think is always something that is provided in books today. And that's what this book also provides.
As the parent of 3 kids, including one non-binary kiddo and one autistic kiddo, I have so much appreciation for everything that the 3 of you just laid out, and where this book will help so many teachers in improving their practice. Thank you so much for this collaboration, for this wonderful project. And thank you so much for being our guests on today's Unplugged show. Any final words you want to offer our listeners today about the book or this work overall?
Give it a try. Read it. You'll get lots of ideas. There's lots of practical applications there. You'll learn something. Give it a try. It's worth it.
And I just wanted to thank Ruth and Mary. And I wanted to thank Tom Lawson for reaching out to us and asking us to do this project, and to Shape America for giving us the platform and the connection with Jones and Bartlett. And to also, like Ruth said, to all of our contributors who did their own hours and hours and hours of writing and editing and revising. As it's a big, long process, but in the end, the next generation is just going to be healthier and better equipped to take whatever comes their way.
Thank you all so much. Thank you to everybody who tuned in today to listen to today's Shape Unplugged. I also hope you'll join us next time, of course. And with that, we will say goodbye for now. Thank you again to Ruth, Lauren, and Mary.